Hi class, this is Mrs. Snowbeck, and today we are going to start Unit 5. It's called Ratios and Proportions. So go ahead and jot down this definition. A ratio is a comparison of two quantities with the same units using division. So here's an example. This example is not on your note sheet. So 2 tablespoons of Top the Tater contains 60 calories. By the way, this is the best for chip dip ever if you have regular potato chips. Delicious. Okay, sorry. 2 tablespoons of Top the Tater contains 60 calories. 50 of the calories are from fat. Find the ratio of fat calories to total calories in 2 tablespoons of Top the Tater. So order matters here. It wants the ratio of fat calories to total calories. So when you write a ratio, you either write it as a fraction or you use a colon. So in this case, I'll just start with a fraction. So fat calories is 50, total calories is 60. You should reduce. So the ratio of fat calories to total calories is 5 to 6. You could also write it like this, 5:6. That works too. Next, we'll talk about extended ratios. Extended ratios are used to compare 3 or more quantities. So let's just pretend like you are all in the classroom right now, and I ask, how many of you have a dog? And maybe 20 people have dogs. And then I say, how many people have cats? And 5 people have cats. How many people have a fish? 2 people have fish. And then I say, does anybody else have any other pets? And one person says they have a guinea pig. I don't know how to spell guinea pig. That's close enough. And so then we could write an extended ratio. The extended ratio of pets in our class would be 20 to 5 to 2 to 1. And when you do extended ratios, you never stack it up like a fraction. You always use colons when you do extended ratios. So here's example number 1. The ratio of angles in triangle ABC is 3 to 4 to 5. Find the measure of each angle in the triangle. So first, you have to think about we're dealing with angles in a triangle. They add up to something. Oh yeah, they add up to 180. So what you do is you take this extended ratio, 3 to 4 to 5, and you put x's behind them. So you do 3x, and then you add them together. Plus 4x plus 5x. So you take the 3 numbers, put x's behind them, add them together, and in this case we're talking about the angles in a triangle, so it's going to add up to 180. And there it is. There's your equation. Now you're going to be able to solve this. So if you combine your like terms, you have 12x equals 180. Divide by 12. X equals 15. But you're not done. It says find the measure of each angle. So we have to take the 15 and we have to plug it in. So we're going to take the 15 and we're going to plug it in here and here and here. So the first angle you would do 3 times 15, which is 45 degrees. The next one is going to be 4 times 15, which is 60 degrees, and the last one is going to be 5 times 15, which is 75 degrees. These are the measures of the 3 angles, and they have a ratio of 3 to 4 to 5. Number 2, in a triangle, the ratio of the measures of the sides is 3 to 6 to 8. The perimeter is 408 inches. Find the lengths of all 3 sides of the triangle. Again, we're dealing with a triangle, but this time we are not dealing with angles, we're dealing with sides. The sides of a triangle do not add up to 180. In this case, the perimeter is 408. So we're going to take our numbers, we're going to put x's behind them, and we're going to add them together. So our numbers were 3, 6, and 8, so we go 3x plus 6x plus 8x, and this time the perimeter is 408. Combine your like terms. 17x equals 408. Divide. X equals 24. But we are not done. So remember, at this point, you take your answer and you're going to plug it in for the x's in all three spots. So the first one is going to be 3 times 24, which is 72 inches. The second one is going to be 6 times 24, which is 144 inches. And then the last one is 8 times 24, which is 192 inches. And then you could check, like, do they actually add up to 408? They should. Proportions. So proportions are equations stating that two ratios are equal. So a proportion is an equation stating that two ratios are equal. And here's our first example, number 3. So you can see here is a ratio, 6 over x, and here is a ratio, 21 over 31.5. There is an equal sign between them. So proportions are equations. They have to have an equal sign in them. So to solve proportion, like in this case, we want to try to solve this for x. We're going to do a thing called cross multiply, and I know you've done this before. You're going to multiply 6 times 31.5 and 21 times x. 21 times x and 6 times 31.5. So 21 times x is just 21x. 6 times 31.5 is 189. Then you divide, and x is 9. So if we plugged the 9 into this proportion, if we did 6 divided by 9, we'd get 0.6 repeating. And if we do 21 divided by 31.5, we would also get 0.6 repeating. It would balance out the equation. Please pause the video and try number 4, use cross multiplication. With here, you're going to have to distribute that 5. And then I just keep solving. Again, you could plug in your number. You could put the 5 in. You'd have, if you put the 5 in right here, you'd have 8 over 2. If you put the 5 in over here, you'd have 20 over 5. Reduce those. You get 4 and 4. Oh, it balanced. Number 5. If a car travels 30 feet per second, how many feet per hour is it traveling? Some people do this with a proportion. Some people do it just kind of canceling out labels. And I like to do this canceling out the labels. It just makes more sense to me. So I start by thinking, all right, I have 30 feet per second. That's 1 second. And I need to change this into how many feet per hours. So the feet, I don't want to cancel out. But the seconds, I want to try to change that to hours. So I have to think about, like, all right, seconds. Isn't there 60 seconds in 1 minute, right? So if I put the seconds on top and I'm going to try to convert this, the reason I put it on top is because then the labels will cancel out. One's in the numerator, one's in the denominator. But I don't really want minutes, I want hours. So I have to also get rid of minutes, and I have to think about, if I want minutes to cancel out, it has to go on the top. Well, there's 60 minutes in 1 hour. And think about, oh, these would cancel out. And my labels that I'd be left with are feet per hour. And so the way that you do this is you multiply going across the top. You multiply these 3 things together. 30 times 60, which is 108,000. And the label up there is feet. And then on the bottom, we have 1 times 1 times 1, which is 1. And the label down there is hour. So what we are left with is 108,000 feet per hour. Haha, we converted it. Tricky. Those are really tricky for people. Second part, how many miles per hour is this? All right, well, let's write down what we have right now. We have 108,000 feet per hour, but we want to change it to miles per hour, and this is one hour. So the thing that we want to cancel out is the feet. So when we multiply here, we're going to want feet on the bottom so that they cancel out, right? Because right now feet is on the numerator. So what you have to know is how many feet per mile are there. If you have to Google this, you can Google this, but it should be 5,280 feet for 1 mile. All right, remember, you're going to multiply going across the tops. Here we're not cross multiplying. This is a different technique. So on the numerator, I get 108,000, and my label up there is miles. And then on the bottom, we multiply going across, and we get 1 times 5,280, which is 5,280, and our label down there is hour. And now we have to simplify a bit more. So you're going to have to divide 108,000 divided by 5,280, and it should be approximately 20.45 miles per hour. So that car is not traveling very fast. They must be taking the scenic route. Like I said, this might seem like kind of a different problem to throw in here on proportions. That's because you could have solved this using a proportion. I'll just show you the first part. If you wanted to solve this using proportions, you would have 30 feet per 1 second. And what you'd have to do is you'd have to say, okay, well, if I want to convert that, I want to figure out how many feet per 3,600 seconds, because 3,600 seconds is the same as 1 hour. So to me, it's just, it's harder to figure out this number, because once it's set up, it's not too bad. Then you just do your cross multiplying. But I think the setting up is more difficult that way. Number 6, Alexis can read 20 pages in 30 minutes. At this rate, how long will it take her to read 152 pages? Okay, so this is you. You have procrastinated. You have 152 pages to read tonight for Miss Brayland. And so you read 20 pages every 30 minutes. Let's jot that down. 20 pages every 30 minutes. And you want to figure out how long is it going to take you to read 152 pages. When you set up proportions, you want to keep your labels in similar places. So we know we have to read 152 pages, so that's going to go on the top, but we do not know how long it's going to take. So in our proportion, we have pages over minutes and then pages over minutes. All right, now it's just a matter of cross multiplying. So we cross multiply here, we cross multiply here, so it's going to be 20 times x, and it's going to be 30 times 152. Well, 20x is 20x. 30 times 152 is 4,560. Divide by 20. And x equals 228 minutes. So can you do it in one night? How much is 228 minutes? Can we convert that into hours? Yeah, we can. So think about 228 minutes, and we want to convert that. So remember, you'd want your minutes on the bottom and your hour on top. And so in 1 hour, it's 60 minutes. So think about this. If I multiply, I'm going to get 228 divided by 60. Which is approximately 3.8 hours. Yeah, I could do that in one night. I mean, I might have to brew a pot of coffee or something, but I think I could read for 3 hours and 8 minutes, or 3.8 hours if I had to. Speaking of that, how many minutes is 0.8 of an hour? This is kind of interesting. If you take 0.8 times 60, you get 48. So this is really 3 hours, 48 minutes. Number 7, it says solve. We have a proportion. I see an equal sign there, so we can cross multiply. So we're going to cross multiply these. We're going to have to do 5 times x minus 2. And we're going to cross multiply these. 4 times x plus 4. Now on each of these, we're going to have to distribute. So distribute the 5. 5x minus 10. Distribute the 4. 4x plus 16. Subtract 4x. X minus 10 equals 16. Add your 10. X equals 26. Let's try number 8. So again, we're going to cross multiply. We're solving this proportion. So we're going to do x plus 2 times x plus 3 and 5 times 4. Something's happening here. We have x plus 2 times x plus 3. We have to multiply two binomials. This is what we reviewed yesterday. Remember, you're going to have to use FOIL here. FOIL stands for firsts, outsides, insides, lasts. Or you could use the box method. So if I multiply I'm going to use FOIL. If you multiply the firsts, it's x times x, so you get x squared. The outsides are the x and the 3, so we get 3x. The insides, 2 times x, so that's 2x. And the lasts are the 2 and the 3, so that's 6 if you multiply. On the right side, we have 5 times 4, which is 20. Now start combining your like terms. X squared plus 5x plus 6 equals 20. I'm supposed to solve this for x. So in order to do that, I think I'm going to have to get a 0 on one side and try to factor. So the next step is to get my 0 on one side. So I have x squared plus 5x minus 14 equals 0. And now is where you think about like that factoring where you have to think of two numbers that multiply to be negative 14 and add to be 5. So I'm thinking of 7 and 2 because I know 7 and 2 multiply to be 14, but I could subtract them to get 5. I think I would need a negative 2 in that case. Let's try it. 7 times negative 2, yeah, that would be negative 14. And 7 plus negative 2 would be positive 5. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make my two empty parentheses down here. In the front of each parenthesis, I'm going to put an x. And then I'm going to have a positive 7 in one of them and a negative 2 in the other one. Now remember, you're still not quite done to solve this. You have to find the zeros. And it's really just the opposites of whatever is in your parentheses. So x is going to equal negative 7 and x is going to equal positive 2, the opposites of what we had right in here. That was a lot of stuff. When you're working on your homework, refer back to your notes. You can send me Schoology messages if you get stuck. But next you're going to work on Unit 5, Practice 1. Good luck. Have a great night.